Central communications allows of channel lines of ions, zions. A line inline center interference is a position location of digital framing. The calculation stream setting and high setting locations is always how you set location in your moons. Your moon is an extremely sensitive position location to track setting. So to understand that the travels of recognition of time is set in signal. The moon is setting line positions or recording locations to your gamma sending interference. It set positions to all levels and how you track location into your GODs. Your geometric operation of design is detecting high setting into new coloration of your 12 DNA locations. You really have to get into emotional lines and balance all calculation. That's the most important thing. You have to really understand how fast your moon is going through linear rotations. Digitalized position of finger locations in metrics is set position of direction. So in class today, we're going to travel through the moon line, and the moon's going to set locations. You guys are seated in position. Your identification line setting. You can basically touch any line position to computer rotations. It's going to aptitude its line in its interference. Location to identity lines. Okay, as soon as you set in the seat line, it's set in signal right away. So it's all about understanding the identification of its graph, and it's going to round setting line center and location. So there's a lot of things you have to understand to set locations to your moon. This is all about position of 7-dimensional graphs and 7-dimensional lines of communication, right? So remember, you have your 7 bodies of water and you have 5 atmosphere lines. It's very powerful when you come into calculation of stream setting. So to really understand how to use code weavings like slide across, open up, over here, slide there, put this over here, calculate this, or line that, signal position, calculate stream line, open graph stream, set line position, set rotation setting, line connection interference, indirect locations, until console communication setting. Now, all levels of calculation console, right? So it's to understand how to change lines like signal position location, track setting, clocking locations, take that up position, slide it across. So you have to learn how to use the size graph location of hologram structure locations. So if you've seen Minority Reports at the very beginning, when Tom Cruise does that, it's the same thing, but it's not a digital screen. It's a holographic location. So it's a seating arrangement to your identification line connections. So it holds all signals in a graph line setting, okay? So going to the moon line is going to give you a better trajectory location into travel lines. This is going to help you out more calculation, how you see yourself. So when you get a holographic line connection, you truly have to understand the laser direction to its digital signal. Okay, so this is a panel line, okay, in operation to its portal communication setting. Okay, it's very powerful when you come to calculations. So let's start off with graph string line conditions, right? So we have grid locations in 3 lines, all right? Cross signal locations, all right? Now, to understand is all levels. You're going to be in seating arrangement locations to your computer. Computer line center rotation has a high setting. High setting position locations is going to be in the clock locations. So the graph stream is going to come out of high connections, all right? Like this, okay? So as it comes out, it centers its calculation setting. So you use your finger lines. Now you point dot line center in position north, west, south, and east. The console communication is your clock locations. So we're going to start off with a 24,000 line signature, okay? You guys have to get into all the calculation first in your computer rotations. But your digitalized fingers points are already set up. Million lines per channel per operations per calculus. Time lines times pi, over factor, position, and directions. So these are very high-tech computers that you'll be using in location. Center communication setting location is spacebar. Now you got line connection interference, okay, into your keyboard locations of framing of fractal locations. Now the fractal line setting sets line communication. This gets really interesting. Setting lines all levels of 369 location, right? So it's all about understanding into all levels how to set course line channels, okay, in operation signal, line to location, and direction, okay? 1 channel operation, streamline rotation calculation, and 4 communication settings. Okay, so everything comes out. right? So if I see a plateau line center of a digital screen of 4 positional point line condition comes up, right? And then you put it across, right? So putting it across, bringing it in, all level calculation system, turning this, turning that, sliding it in, pulling it out, putting it back. You have to learn how to use your hand line connections, right? Because it's all digitalized to its computer operation, to its voice grid location. So it's very powerful when you start using high technology line sending location to its moon line sending, the identification code line stream location, spacebar position locations, all levels of height line centers at keyboard location. Flight navigations in one line setting. Star systems is extremely powerful stuff, especially when you come to console calculation, line rotation, and location setting, position location, and finger point line setting. Now it's set line conditions, atmosphere locations. I'm seeing the graph stream right now. It's a circle line center. Got 2 graph line streams. 1, 2. Circle line interference, console communication. Bring it down through channel. Bring it up through location. Bring it across line center. Open all communication. Open all line position. Set position. Outline connection. So these are the things you have to understand how to use technology. So it's like using a floating device, but it's outline connection. It's no longer in position of its grounds. It's in its atmosphere line system. So it's true to stand use the projector location, the project line center, location lights of the sun, communication of the moon, settings, location, direction locations, and how you use your keyboards and track system. Okay. So setting lines and moon perception lines, Earth calculation setting. Now I'm going to set the keyboards, set channel operations. Okay. All provision locations coming into platforms, AI calculation system, protocol line center, CPU. Set position location directions. Get them in the moon line setting. All right. Travel line connections, 30 minutes on that line setting interference. 30-minute line rotation, ground setting, rotation interference, and moon setting, high setting, position location, direction location, altitude line center rotation, and calculation, identification line setting, seating position location, all levels of platforms, protocols, and CPU and line center rotations, calculation modification, line setting, 30,000 lines per second per channel per hour per square per mile. Record line center, gamma interference, radiation, high setting, and position location directions, computer operation. Signal and interference position locations. Have fun. All right. Voice grid line channeling. Strictly stand the moon line settings. It's all about emotional locations, 7-dimensional settings, all position location calculations. All right, T line connections, PAM line center, gypsy connection, Lindsay, all levels, Nikki, stat line center interference, CC McGarver locations, Airbender communications, Johnny, Michael, Heather lines, Madeline, Helkins, Belinda, all levels of arts, and position Renee, connections of Dawn, line centers, gypsy connection line systems, PAM communications, Jill line sending interference, position location calculations, Cami line system, Daniel line sending, Sam and calculation line center, Kristen position locations, line center interference, line condition of commander, high center position locations, high setting, all position locations, line interference, position location direction. All right. So very fast track lines. First time ever using the computers. So have fun. It's all through digital line center, voice grid line interference. Okay. Adjusting digital panel. Yeah. So it's all position location directions. And this is how it's set locations. This way, arrow this way, arrow this way, arrow that way. That's one. Okay. Line connecting location is line rotation to your diamond core line setting. Okay, surface location is opposition location, opposite line rotation, calculation high setting. So it's true to understand how to set position locations and how computers are set up in space line condition, right? Weaving signals. So you got your north line center always as a reference. You got your east positions, you got your west line center, and you got your south, all right? So center communication line setting sets position location of directions, right? Signal locations come into channel operation. Channel operation comes into line position locations in line system, all right? So it's trying to understand how to use it. Okay. Latitude to line center location. So you look at the local location like this, like systems. Okay, you got this position, location, directions. Okay, you got your hand and line connection right here. Trying to stand position, location, what's going on. All right. Line connection, interference, position, location, directions. All right. So you signal this way line setting. Okay, and then you go in the opposite locations, center, position, location, directions. Right. So it's all about understanding how to set signals because you have a console communication going up and position, location, directions to northwest, south, and east. All right. So you go in one direct locations and then you go in the opposite line center. You have to go forward and backwards. I understand calculation. All right. Now, once you get into that position, it gets a lot more easier. But see, the computer adaptation is a rotation spin cycle. So you got a spin cycle location into console communication, one way in position. And then you get the opposite direction location in the line conditions, right? You have to learn how to use it, right? So it's kind of like, it looks like a connection to a steering wheel, line position. So it has line connections of realms, and each line has an indication. Okay, it's a galaxy line shift. Now, a galaxy line shift is like a standard. You guys understand your speed lines. Line connections up locations. Okay, so and this goes back locations. You go up, back, cross over, set position down, shift up. All right. So it's a little bit different, but the indication location is not a 5-year line setting. Okay, it's an infinite position location of a circle location of a rotation setting. So it's really complicated if you understand the positions on levels of travel line positions. Okay. So it lines its calculations in setting. So we got 4 channels of operation. These are 2 different consoles communications, on levels of travel. All right. So it gets really complicated if you don't understand your computer adaptation and voice grid location. All right. So I just want you to get an understanding because it's all hieroglyphic locations of channel. Operation system, position, location, directions. Okay, through console communication. Right. There's 2 line channels. Now this is a box frequency line. All right. There's 2 channel operation line settings. So you got a million line channel operation signal. Okay. So that's a million line position. Okay. Now you're going to north. Always use north as a reference. North equals location of reference, right? Because you're reaching higher line settings. And then you got the altitude line center, and you got the oxide line center location. The oxidized hyphasis location is its H2O, which is calculated modified to line center. H equal locations of jump scar and center line position location calculations. All right. So it gets interesting when you high rise line channels like communication or console communication. You start with this line connections, right? 2 channels operation, 2 antennas position, right? 1 finger line rotation, which is your pinky line stream. And then you get line connection to your pointing finger and position of your thumb. So it's an indication rotation setting. Okay, so it's really understand how to point the visual location of its computer frame to its keyboard line setting. So it's a rotation spin cycle, line connections, right? Rotation setting, click, bounce, connections, back and forth line. All right, so line position, let's get into that calculations. So you got 3-point line triangles, line connecting, right? So one here, and let's go on these locations. 1 line channel, line center, line position, directions, right? Systematic location, right? Century looked line centered, line interference. There was nothing there, now it's a system location. So it's in the channel up high setting, position, location, direction, into triangulation, all right? Setting course line channel sets line position of all levels of arrows in communication to all segment communication settings. There's so many levels of console communication, direct location, how to use your computers, a keyboard line setting. Now, rotation spin cycle sets line communications into Fibonacci swirl. That Fibonacci swirl line positions. These are 3 consoles of communication line connections to its travel line connections to its direction location of its triangulation. Okay. These are all indicated locations to computers of keyframes, keyboards. It's not like how you think it is. It's not code weaving. It's all about using graph line stream and atmosphere line position, heat signature locations to create line interference. So it's all position of 5-point line settings, right? Direct location of 3 lines, right? 2 antenna position location thumb. It's thumb line center, turn position locations, turn back location line conditions, tap position of 2 line settings, open all track line conditions, shift it over. Okay, move it across, bring it in, right? So I truly understand how to use the computer in the line rotations position. Now, when you have a plasma wall, it calculates its plasma web channel that opens all calculations to its channel operation line setting to all levels of sun communication. So there's so many different console communications of computers. We adapt signal locations to acceleration. This time frequency times code times pi, right? So your position location is to understand how to travel through light signatures of 24,000 light centers, or anything through 48,000 window, or anything through 72,000 computer operations stream, or anything through 144 crystal activation of a higher position line directions into a calculation of a port of calculation and rotation into line connecting, right? Position location directions to a UFO line setting. So, all right, scanning all data, scanning all, have the screens open, travel today, waters are balanced. All right, cool, Jill. The picture of the moon shadows, first time ever. Seeing my own shadow from the light of the moon. Information resonates with me so deeply. So after today, you know exactly your speed lines through your moon locations and through acceleration, your emotional track location. So your moon set signals. This is your moon line, right? Okay. So this is your moon line, right? Now you have to learn how to use the console communication, which is in the ground centers of 3 line settings. Okay. So this is a console communication system, all right? Direct location to this moon. Okay. So you use these 3 circle locations to connect in the moon line. The moon line changes circle line center to higher line position locations of its half moon. Center communication brings into more levels of a half pipe communication, center line connection to position, location, and directions. There it is, right? All through antenna communication, 3 circle line center rotation interference of console communication setting, right? So it's interesting you look at the moon setting, you try to understand all positions where it comes into size graph calculation, how big it is into its expansion. Okay. So it's interesting when you're using the console, the modulation modulator. Now, modulation is trying to understand the temperature line setting and how you're set for location emotional line moon. Moon is setting position locations on levels. This is your moon location, all right? This line conditions is your moon line setting and location, okay? This is your moon line setting. It's all in circular locations. It changes emotional line setting, rotation interference, way beyond standard location phenomena. 4 channels of operation location, position location of console. That's your moon. When you look line setting, you understand the computer operation string, set locations, calculations, all right? There's 5 channel line centers operation locations, right? So that's 5 channel, okay, into all levels of modulo. The modulo line setting, disappear location, see? Traveling too fast. Okay, so that's modular line center, 5 line signals in the high center line position. That's 5 million channels per second per mile and 60 seconds per location. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Signal position and directions. All right. So your moon can set line connections when you understand the vibration. Vibration location is a vibration line setting. How fast your moon spins is all determinations to your chakra line setting. Chakra communication system, allocate the hindline center rotation interference, open all communication line setting, rotations of 4 communication settings, right? So your moon sets position, location, and directions into 2 channels, okay? 2 channel operation line stream sets 1 position, location, and calculations, right? Zero gravity sets line position to a higher level of ground setting, opens all position location into higher positions of your flux capacitor. So 2 channel operation, 1 line division, location of 0 gravity. So the moon sets line position location into higher levels of channel operation. This is where it gets really fun. So the moon sets position. This is your moon line, right? That's your moon line. Okay. This is your moon. This is your chakra, right? It's all through number sequence. Now, if it's in a 2 channel operation, the moon gets pinged in position and direction, sets signals to line connections, realigns centers in position location into its triangulation. Okay. Now, the triangulation of the moon line center sets line position location into the center communication of the solar plexus into higher force line conditions of triangulation. Triangulation overcross signal location comes in operation signal. That operation signal crosses streams and line connection to a higher formation of a triangulation position of program setting, all through the moon of calculation, right? So it's trying to understand your motional line, how it modifies all positions to your modulation. The module is communication. So it's kind of like you're monitoring your video graph line you remove, and the direct location is changing high setting. I was going through locations and trying to figure out what the sun and the moon was to me all through reflection. Now, once you understand the space line and everything through time, meaning its location times pi, it comes into all formation location, which is very fantastic because now you're creating the space. It starts floating inside position. And then you understand the flux capacitor, timelines, time lock locations, the clock location. So once you understand that, what happens is position location, once your moon is in a hologram structure, it comes out of a reflection. So every time you look at the atmosphere line, you're just seeing the reflection of the moon. That's all it is. But the moon is inside you. And that's what keeps you going through your light. It's the inner light of the sun and it's the inner light of the moon. You put that together, yin and yang. All right. The process of yin and yang is getting to the cross stream. All right. Cross stream is very, very powerful. Sun position location has a direct location, equal line center locations in one position. Now, that is an operation signal into position of volume. Volume position location of velocity. Velocity locations into E equals line connections into mass of volume in location into position locations into high center of velocity location, high center interference location, and position location of measure. Now, once you get the measure communication system, you get your emotional line. So each tracker system expands over time. Each position location of your sun expands over time. And that's what's happening with your moon right now. It's coming to full expansion of emotional line setting in a seventh dimensional line of communication, of clock location, right? So when you get into that position location, the automatic sun line changes clock locations. So you have the sun line rotation, okay, which is really interesting. Sun here and your moon is here, okay? But it's in line setting. So the reflection location comes in here. There's your sun and your atmospheric line. So this is in your box locations, inside location. The triangulation of female line center rotation interference. So this location is line conditions. This is your sun of reflection locations, right? So that's you in the body line center, the male, female location. There's your sun or your moon coming out in reflection, right? Every time you look out through perception, you're looking from inside, but it has a reflection. It's a dome system. That dome system is 1% precision line connections to perception. Now, the precision lines tracks its operation cycle, okay? So pay attention to this. There's 4 channels of operation of graph streams. Very, very powerful, right? So what happens is the rainbow graph stream changes the emotional line interference, changes position locations to your sun in high setting position. So line connection is the moon and line center rotations, all right? You take that channel off, line connections, directed signal, moon here, sun here. So what it does a flip. Okay, so the moon comes up and the sun goes down. So it's a circulation. So what's happening in the seventh dimensional line setting? We're going into a full rotation of an atom line system. Circulatory line center, balancing communication to yin and yang cross stream, right? That's crossing stream locations, bringing your sun and position location of your moon into yin yang. That's the process you have to understand. Emotional track line center is set up position location of track settings when it comes into vibrational graphs, okay? So this is all about happens line setting rotations. So you got 3-point line setting position of track locations into measure line communication of triangle, line communication of box, male position, female position, right? So it's always seeing a reflex location your sun and your moon. Your sun and your moon changes line connections, all levels of direction to emotional line setting through light locations, all right? So this is where it comes into all levels of operation cycle, center line positions into triangulation at both line connection. All right. So I guess everybody's really confused. Do you see how powerful it is when you come into all communication of what your sun and your moon is? All right. Channeling off today. Laser activated. Lots of dust. That's not dust. That's all let's call it. Moon line connections received. Okay. Digital access. Water lines, crystal grid, stable on moon, rotating so much here. Yeah, exactly. Friction, notification, copy and paste, volumes, emblems, center line, and rotation interference. So there's a lot of things you have to understand through your modems, which is connected to the Wi-Fi position of your satellite connections. So we got 25 triangles and line setting position of 0 locations, 7, 8, 9, 10 set position location directions, setting Wi-Fi position location and program locations. All right, radar contact the side. Whoa, radar is up and running. Beautiful. There you go. You're fixing your calculation streams, your computer operation line setting. So everybody's seeing their computer adaptation, all levels of calculation of detection locations of the moon, all through computer line. The technology is so advanced, it blows your mind. All right. Yeah, each one of you have amazing rhythm inside. It's starting to also pick up that up, all set to your heartbeat. Right? But so if the rhythm pattern, the heart line recognition line setting has to understand the true communication, what's going on with the moon. Moon is set in clock location to its own computer operation setting. Right? So it's a clock line setting of a metal line center rotation and interference, position location and outline, which is solid line position location calculations, but the inline center is hollow. All through computer line setting of your Wi-Fi positions to your direct locations of your clock and of your console communication. Hooah. So you really, really have to pay attention to your computerized line setting and everything in positions to your chakra setting, location to emotional track location. All right. So you got a line strip line. Okay. Now it's really interesting when you understand how to use the volume in communication of velocity. Velocity stays position location and track location, right? Center line connections changes all position locations, how you see yourself in travel. So the conception line sets line position location and console communication, all right? Now, webbing setting position locations. This is a console of position location teleportation line, all right? Traveling very, very fast in all calculation into its course of high setting into its diamond core. Diamond core shifts in position, comes in line connections here, line connections over here, crosses streams over here, circle and position location over here, sets line connections over here, sets position locations here, over calculation here, indirect locations here, in position locations here, all through direction. Okay? So you really have to understand how to basically move the maneuvering location of its console. You really understand, all levels of 3 track line centers, 2 position locations, right? 3 line centers, 2 line track locations, moon line interference, 2 line shift locations. See the 2 line shift? These are 2 lines, setting barcode location and barometer location of check lines. 3 communications, moon setting line center. You got your pointing finger communications, you got line communications near your sun, and you got 2 line centers, 3 line interference position locations, tapping position locations, line direction. This changes position locations in your finger points and digital frame location, all through 5 channel operation. So really understand the communication to your motion line center and all line positions to your moon. And understand the sun line communication of travel, because each one travels its position of directions to its measure. So centering lines opens all flux capacitor locations of channels, operations to your chakra system. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Let's start with that line connections, right? Now, coming into bright line center, that's 0 in position of 0. Okay. 0, 0 comes into a box location operation signal. Okay. That operates signal line connections. It sets up a new graph line of a road graph location. All right. So it's all about how you use your hologram structures in blocking surface. Okay. Opening all track location puts you in higher divisions of its console communication. Higher levels of flux capacitor to its circle of its modification system. Hoo-ah. So there's so many ways to get through the mind of travel line center. So it's all about understanding the computer operation of the sun and the computer operation location of motion line connections of your moon, all through console communication. Okay. So it's a lot to understand. All right. Chest plate, relic, converting signals to map sequence. All right. Sending coolant to gypsy. All right. So you guys communicate locations back and forth line. Let's see. Taking it easy, gliding through clouds. Yeah. Understanding more levels of the mind is extremely important, Cami. That's exactly what it is. Driving through line signal, line cross, going straight. Getting in confusion is stop and go. See? You don't want to be here. You want to be here. Because what happens is it changes lines of graph locations right away. See? This is an emotional track connected to your moon, right? Your moon is set here, all right? And your sun is crossing location here, right? So you got line connections to your flux capacitor, which position locations opens up your graph location, right? Intelligence. See it? There's your intelligence. Everything's intelligence. So you guys have to really pay attention to these things because it just goes way beyond the recognition of anything from mind conception. So once you come into phenomenal line setting, the vibrational graph strain location change their directions. Okay, that's pretty good. That's not too bad. That's a line signal, but it's got an off cross string. It's too high. So it's got to go back into measure, drop down, line communication, line signal. Okay. So that connection line center opens up another graph strain location into position. Right? This is the line setting, right? See? This is an open window line setting in rotation to across string locations into equal location of 48,000 channels of operation. See? See how complicated it is? This is communication to the computer operation of the moon. It's all through your videograph location of vibration, of reverberation, guys. Schumann resonance, right? Don't you think you want to know what your vibration is in all calculation high setting? So it's important you understand how it recognizes you in all your electrical system. Okay. There's so many vibrations of communication. Okay. So many vibrations of communications. I'm just showing you a videograph screen. All right. Okay. So this is what we evolve on position. Okay. All different vibration. 4 line settings, all 3 moon. Emotional, 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 emotional. Now, this is not bad. This is line connections, right? This here is off signal. You understand? It's got a dip down, back and bounce communication. See that? So this here is over cross streams. Look at this. Jump, jump, jump. 3 jump line settings. So you got to reverberate down position locations, set communication into volume, velocity over calculation, line interference, back and track interference, line connect, position to back direction. Now, this is a waving line setting. So we call it a moon cross stream, right? Because it looks like a mountain surface line, right? So it's a moon cross stream line. So you got reverberation line centers in position locations, travel location of X line communication, position location directions, crosses line connection. All right. So there's a lot of things you have to understand how to set line positions to your moon setting of computer operation of vibration. Yes. So if the moon is set up through motional line and you understand your 12 DNA of vibrational line, you're doing well, all through correlation. Your modulation is already set up through its console calculations, right? You got 3 channel operation line centers, 2 position locations into 5 channels of operation line stream, sets all position location of a line connection. See it? You see it? See the console? See the communication? See the shape line? Light creates line setting. The moon creates line settings of shadow. Set position location directions comes into calculation. Center operating locations. All but position go. Initiate position of 3 line connections, 4 line rotations, thumb in position direction to its bar code. Center communication is 5 channels. 5 position locations comes into 6 line connections. 7 within line of 8, 9 line center, and interference of 10 locations. Position of panel, operation signal, initiate program. Set position off direction. So there's a lot of things you have to understand through vibration. So when you get into line signaling, we go through arrow division. Now, arrow division location is a sonar panel. There's two panel communications, right? We have channel line interference. We go up in signal location into 3-line positions. Okay, and then you go into 4-line positions. And then you go into 5-line position of sonar communication system. All right. So it's all about balancing sonar communications into your half pipe. And that sets all position locations in your tunnel of its realm of its portal communication system. Hooah. See? Now, when you get in that line setting, you get XT1000 right away, driving locations, right? One here in division, scanning line conditions into the ground setting. Okay? Ground setting sets line positions to go up position of sonar communication, line shift down cross stream line setting, open line position to another round position location directions in the opposite cycle location, right? Channel operation. Ooh-ah. All right. So, all right. So you guys in 36 channels, 6, 7, 8, 9. All right, you're back in 2-line centers, 3 position locations, back in calculation. Back. All through swirl line setting. Now, line rotation interference, closure portals. All right. So, getting your computer line setting is to understand the position location, how you set your vibrations. All right. Let's say you're channeling in the ground location realms of calculations of a box surface locations in a circle. Now, the circle line setting sets locations and how you see yourself through vibration. This is you through vibration. All right. This is how you detect line centers of anything. There's a tree formation here. All right. Just showing you what your energy can do. There's a tree line, right? Tree here, car here. Okay. So you got a car there and you got a tree there. So right away, line in rotation, there's a triangulation right there. Right? You got balance right away. Balance the ground setting, low positions, opens all line center rotations, sun in communication, and the moon in rotation. All through calculation. Ooh-ah. So if you don't have the balance of communication, you don't have your field line center rotations, your signals will go all over panel communication in all line direction location in its activation system will spread communications, all channels of operation to its panel line center of electrical grid connection position of direction off signal. Oops. So it's important to balance your energies inside through vibration, isn't it? Keep your emotional systems inside connections. The electrical grid line center has a panel line setting. Now that's a rotation spin cycle. That rotation spin cycle sets line communication settings. That opens all communications to your 12 DNA. All right. So, all right. Lots going on, isn't there? Feeling the winging, bringing me down. Very powerful class today, guys. It's the basic foundations where you saw your moon, know exactly how to use your digital line inner rotations, how to use the console, how to use the modulators, all through information vibration. All right. Settings and locations. So, all right. So we had a wonderful class in line rotations. All right. I'll see you soon. Adios.